Hello everybody and welcome to lyranara.com and lyranara.me, and today we're gonna talk about allergies, and we're gonna show you the symptoms that you have to pay attention to. Then we're gonna dive into the history of allergy research and show you the most recent theories and the most recent research on how they develop in your body, what exactly happens in your body when you have an allergy. And of course, then we're gonna show you some nice testing techniques that are very accurate and with which you can find out whether you have allergies and what allergies you have in a very short amount of time and non-invasively without pricking. And last but not least, we're gonna show you some very powerful natural remedies they can take to take care of your allergies. So without further ado, let's dive right in and learn more about how you too can be allergy free. So let's start this off by talking about the symptoms that you have to pay attention to. And allergy symptoms depend on the substances involved. They can affect your respiratory airways, your sinuses, your nasal passages, your skin, your eyes, and or your digestive system. And they can range from a very mild appearance to very severe. Some allergies, including food allergies and insect stings, may also trigger a severe reaction known as anaphylaxis, which is a life-threatening medical emergency. Anaphylaxis can cause a shock state, and signs and symptoms of anaphylaxis include loss of consciousness, a drop in blood pressure, severe shortness of breath, a skin rash, lightheadedness, a rapid weak pulse, nausea and vomiting. And most often people are affected by the following allergies: hay fever, also called allergic rhinitis, which can cause sneezing, itching of the nose, eyes or roof of the mouth, a runny stuffy nose, and watery red or swollen eyes. Next, food allergies, which you feel as a tingling in the mouth, swelling of the lips, your tongue, your face or throat, hives, as well as anaphylaxis. Insect sting allergies are also very common. Here you will feel a large area of swelling, edema at the sting site, itching or hives all over your body, coughing, chest tightness, wheezing or shortness of breath, as well as anaphylaxis. Then very common also drug allergies, where you will see hives, itchy skin, rashes, facial swellings, wheezing, as well as anaphylaxis. And then atopic dermatitis, which is an allergic skin condition, also called an eczema, which will be felt as an itching or reddening or flaking or peeling of your skin. What about the history of allergies? Well, allergies are not simply a biological blunder. Instead, they are an essential defense against noxious chemicals, a defense that has served our ancestors for tens of millions of years and continues to do so until today. The physicians of the ancient world knew already about allergies. 3,000 years ago, for example, Chinese doctors described the so-called plant fever that caused runny noses in the autumn. There is also evidence that the Egyptian pharaoh Menes died from the sting of a wasp in 2641 BC. 2.5 millennia later, the Roman philosopher Lucretius wrote, "What is food to one is to others bitter poison." In the early 1900s then, the French scientists Charles Richet and Paul Portier were studying how toxins affect the body and injected venom into dogs. Instead of protecting the animals from harm, the immune system appeared to make them more susceptible even. Other researchers then observed that some medical drugs caused hives and other symptoms, and this sensitivity increased with exposure, which is the opposite of the protection that the antibodies provided against infectious diseases. Then the Austrian doctor Clemens von Pirquet wondered how it was that substances entering the body could change the way the body reacted. And to describe his response, he coined the word allergy, which comes from Greek. The two words allos, which means other, and the other word is ergon, which means work. In the decades that followed, then scientists discovered that the molecular stages of these reactions were remarkably similar. The process begins when an allergen lands on one of the body's surfaces, like your skin, your eye, the nasal passage, your mouth, or your airway or gut. And these surfaces are loaded with immune cells that act as border sentries. And when a sentry encounters an allergen, it first engulfs and demolishes the invader, and then it decorates its outer surface with fragments of the substance. And next, the cell locates some lymph tissue, and there it passes on the fragments to other immune cells, which in turn produce a distinctive fork-shaped antibody known as immunoglobulin E, or short IgE. These antibodies then will trigger a response if they encounter the allergen again, and the reaction begins when an antibody activates a component of the immune system known as a mast cell, which then blasts out a barrage of chemicals. Some of these chemicals latch onto nerves, triggering thereby itchiness and coughing. Sometimes mucus is produced, and the airways muscles can contract, making it hard to breathe. One of the questions that came up within the research over the last decades was whether the allergies are actually caused by parasites. This picture, built up in labs over the past century, answered the how part of the allergy mysteries, but left unanswered was the why. And that's surprising, because the question had a pretty clear answer for most parts of the immune system. Our ancestors faced a constant assault of pathogens. Natural selection favored mutations that helped them fend off these attacks, and those mutations accumulated to produce the sophisticated defenses we have today. One of the early clues came in 1964 then. A parasitologist named Bridget Ogilvy was investigating how the immune system repelled parasitic worms, and she noticed that rats infected with worms produced large amounts of what would later be called IgE. Subsequent studies revealed that the antibodies signaled the immune system to unleash a damaging assault on the worms, and the parasitic worms represent a serious threat in general, not just to rats but to us humans too. Hookworms, for example, can drain off blood from the gut. Liver flukes can damage the liver tissue and cause cancer. Tapeworms can cause cysts in the brain. And more than 20% of all people on Earth carry such infections, most of them in low-income countries. Before we got our modern public health and food safety systems, our ancestors faced a lifelong struggle against these worms, as well as ticks and other parasitic animals. Then, during the 1980s, several scientists argued forcefully for a link between these parasites and allergies. Perhaps our ancestors evolved an ability to recognize the proteins on the surface of worms and to respond with IgE antibodies. The antibodies primed the immune system cells in the skin and gut to quickly repel any parasite trying to push its way in, and you've got about an hour to react very dramatically in order to reduce the chance of these parasites surviving, said, for example, David Dunn, a parasitologist at the University of Cambridge. According to this worm theory, the proteins of parasitic worms are very similar in shape to other molecules we regularly encounter in our lives, and if we encounter those molecules, we mount a pointless defense. Dunn said, allergy is just an unfortunate side effect of defense against those parasitic worms. What exactly happens in our body when we have an allergic reaction? Well, let's see. Allergies occur when our immune system overreacts to a foreign substance such as pollen, bee venom, or pet dander, or food. And for most people, the same stressors do not cause an allergic reaction. It depends on every person. Some people have an allergic reaction to certain substances, others don't. Your immune system produces then substances known as antibodies. When you have allergies, your immune system makes antibodies in excess. And they identify a particular substance as harmful even though it isn't for others. That's why they produce then those antibodies in excess. Most characteristic for allergies is histamine. Histamine, what is it? It's an organic nitrogenous compound involved in your local immune responses, as well as it has a regulating physiological function in your gut, and it acts also as a neurotransmitter for the brain, the spinal cord, and the uterus. Histamine is involved in the inflammatory response and has a central role as the mediator of itching. As part of this immune response to foreign stressors, histamine is produced by basophils and by mast cells that are found in nearby connective tissues. Histamine then increases the permeability of the capillaries to white blood cells to allow them to engage the immune system into a defense reaction. And histamine is derived from the decarboxylation of the amino acid histidine, a reaction catalyzed by the enzyme L-histidine decarboxylase. Histamine is a hydrophilic vasoactive amine, and although histamine is a very small molecule, it plays a very important role in our bodies. It is known to be involved in 23 different physiological functions due to its chemical properties that allow it to be versatile in binding. When injected intravenously, histamine causes most blood vessels to dilate and hence causes a fall in your blood pressure, and this is a key mechanism in anaphylaxis. Increased vascular permeability causes then the fluid to escape from the capillaries into the tissues, which leads to the classic symptoms of an allergic reaction like a runny nose or watery eyes. We could have more effective allergy treatments if scientists would better understand allergies, but a maddening web of causes underlies the allergic reactions. Cells are aroused, chemicals released, signals relayed, and scientists have only partially mapped this process so far. And there's an even bigger mystery underlying this biochemical web. Why do we even get allergies in the first place? So let's try to answer this. And we will try to answer this question on why do we get allergies in the first place by looking at the most recent scientific research on allergies. In 1989, for example, Charles Janeway, an immunologist at Yale, wrote in an essay titled Approaching the Asymptote, Evolution and Revolution in Immunology the following. Antibodies have a big drawback. It takes days for the immune system to develop an effective antibody against a new invader. He therefore speculated that the immune system might have another line of defense that could offer much faster protection. Perhaps, he speculated, the immune system could use a pattern recognition system to detect bacteria and viruses quickly, allowing it to immediately launch a response. The renowned immunologist Janeway, together with Ruslan Metsitov, discovered in the course of the next years a new class of sensors on the surface of a certain kind of immune cell. Confronted with an invader, these sensors would clasp onto the intruder and trigger a chemical alarm that promoted other immune cells to search the area for pathogens to kill. And those are well known today as so-called toll-like receptors. Infections also can sometimes produce a catastrophic body-wide inflammation known as sepsis. It is thought to strike around 1 million people a year in the US alone, up to half of whom die even. For years, scientists thought that a bacterial toxin might cause the immune system to malfunction in this way. But sepsis is actually just an exaggeration of one of the usual immune defenses against bacteria and other invaders. Instead of acting locally, the immune system accidentally responds throughout your whole body. According to Metsitov, what happens in septic shock is that these mechanisms become activated much more strongly than necessary, and that's what kills. So, if the immune system has special sensors for bacteria and other invaders, perhaps it also has undiscovered sensors for other enemies, right? That's when scientists started to think about parasitic worms. IgE and allergies, and things just didn't add up. It's true that the immune system produces IgE when it detects parasitic worms. But some studies suggest that IgE isn't actually essential to fight these invaders. Scientists have engineered mice, for example, that they cannot produce IgE in their bodies and they have found that those animals can still mount a defense against parasitic worms. So that's strange. Metzidorf was skeptical to the idea that allergens mimic parasite proteins. A lot of allergens, such as nickel or penicillin, have no possible counterpart in the molecular biology of a parasite. Interesting, isn't it? Well, then the idea was maybe what ties all of these allergens together is not their shape, but it's the body strategy for getting rid of the allergens. More generally, hated allergic symptoms keep unhealthy environmental irritants out of the body. Metzidorf had the following to say about this. How do you defend against something you inhale that you don't want? You make mucus, you make a running nose, you sneeze, you cough, and so forth. Or if it's on your skin, by inducing itching, you avoid it, or you try to remove it by scratching it. Likewise, you've ingested something allergenic, your body might react with vomiting. Finally, if a particular place or circumstance ramps up your allergies, you're likely to avoid it in the future. So the thing about allergies is that as soon as you stop exposure to an allergen, all the symptoms are gone. Well, Metzidorf experiments hopefully will reveal the invisible shield that allergies provide us with in the future. Even if the experiment works out just as Metzidorf predicts, he himself, however, doesn't think that his ideas about allergies will win out as quickly as his ideas about Toll-like receptors did. The reason for that is that the idea that allergic reactions are bad is too ingrained in the minds of physicians nowadays. And therefore, he said there's going to be more inertia. But understanding the real triggers and purpose of allergies could lead to dramatic changes in the way in which we treat them. One implication in our view is that any attempt to completely block allergic defenses is a bad idea. Instead, allergies must find an answer with a minority of people that turn a protective response into a hypersensitive one, and why that happens. Metzidorf said, it's the same as with pain. No pain at all is deadly, normal pain is good, and too much pain is bad. It may be time to get people to stop seeing allergies as a disease, therefore, despite the misery they cause, of course. You are sneezing to protect yourself. The fact that you don't like the sneezing, that's tough luck. That's what Metzidorf had to say about this. Evolution doesn't care how you feel. Well, Ratzler Metzidorf, together with immunology professor David W. Wallace from the Yale School of Medicine, leads a major R&D work to better understand, explain, and treat allergies. And together with partners at the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard, as well as other institutions, they formed the so-called Food Allergy Science Initiative, which brings together the best experts in immunology, gastroenterology, molecular biology, and other disciplines to find answers to fundamental questions about the nature of food allergies and how to prevent and treat them. And we hope that we're gonna hear much more from them in the near future. Okay, so that's where modern scientific research is right now regarding allergies, how they develop in your body and what exactly happens. As you have seen, a lot of research still needs to be done to perfectly understand all the interactions. But what is already known today is how to test for allergies. And apart from the traditional pricking test that you get at your general practitioner. There are some other great methods that are non-intrusive. You don't need to be pricked and wait for hours until you have the results. And one of them is called EDS testing, or EAV, electroacupuncture, according to Dr. Fall. And for testing allergies, we recommend to use an EDS device such as the Akuport M2 or the top of the line Vistron device, and you will need either an allergen vial kit or a testing software such as the Homeopath software for doing so. Original allergic substances can be tested as native substances. However, in this case, the lymph, nerve degeneration and allergy acupuncture points must be balanced prior to testing procedure. If they are not, just add those remedies into your honeycomb with the balance, the lymph, the nerve degeneration and the allergy acupuncture point, and then you can start measuring for allergies. Pathological readings showing an allergic reactions are occurring where you will see high values over 70 or a fast indicator drop of higher than 7, or both of those occurring together. We recommend also to have an overall measuring of minimum 40 acupunctural points, preferably 56, before you start any allergy testing with this technology. Allergies are measured at 5 or 8 specific acupuncture points for the specific allergens. And you can get, of course, the Akuport M2 and the Vistron together with the Homeopath software exclusively at lyranara.com. I'm going to post a link in the description box below. And great news also, until the 1st of May 2018, so for a very limited time, you will also have a great discount on the Vistron. And here we can see the main acupunctural testing points that we will check in order to determine which allergies are present in the patient with an EDS system. We will look at the acupunctural point for the lymph system called LY3, which is the most important one, but we also look at LY1-2 as well as the control measuring point. Those points will show us burdens such as heavy metals, mercury, dental amalgam, aromatic hydrocarbons and derivatives of benzene. Then we will also have a look at ND1A. ND1 and ND1A will indicate burdens such as pollen, toxins, narcotics, fungi, as well as environmental pollutants. Then we will look at AL1B as well as AL1, which will show us burdens such as burdens in food, mercury, lead, cadmium, as well as geopathic stress. Then we will check for the small intestine. It's called SL1B. It will indicate us burdens such as outer intoxication as well as different contaminants. We will also have to look at the hypothalamus acupunctural point to establish the severity of the allergies. And now that we have learned how to test for allergies in a very accurate and great non-invasive way, let's look at some extremely powerful and effective natural remedies and supplements that you can take to alleviate your allergic reactions. When you are affected by allergies, there is a very high histamine concentration in your blood, as we've learned. And you can reduce the histamine and get rid of it in the shortest possible time, and therefore you can get rid of your allergic reaction in the shortest possible time by taking the following supplements and natural remedies. We have a great new Herbeso product that is called Allergy Gone at lyranara.me. It contains ultra pure 99.995% pharmaceutical grade DMSO that has been compounded with 2 natural herbs that are very well known for their antihistaminic effects. DMSO decomposes by more than 50% into MSM and sulfur and has therefore a very strong antihistaminic effect. DMSO plays additionally the role of a carrier. It mobilizes the cellular membrane, it reduces pain, inflammation, swelling and skin reactions. So please check out Allergy Gone on our shop lyranara.me. The link is going to be, as always, also in the description box below. Next, we recommend grapeseed extract, also called OPC. You take 2 to 4 capsules per day immediately after your meals, and OPC hinders the HD enzyme and thereby inhibits the production of histamine. It has been very well known for centuries that OPC counteracts allergic reactions. Mascalier, who developed the OPC or found out about its effects, explains the anti-inflammatory and anti-allergic activity of OPC on the basis of its antioxidant activity. OPC is an abbreviation for oligomeric proanthocyanidins, natural health supporting compounds found in plants. Histamine is produced in 2 ways, under the influence of hyaluronidase in your mast cells, and secondly by decarboxylation of an amino acid called histidine. OPC hinders the HD enzyme and thereby inhibits or prevents the production of histamine, according to OPC in Practice, a book written by Bud Switters in collaboration with Professor Jack Mascalier. Next, we recommend vitamin C 500 to 1000 milligrams per day. Vitamin C is a natural antihistamine supplement which acts by destroying the molecular structure of histamine and thereby decreasing the amount of histamine in your blood. The absorption of vitamin C is highly dependent on the amount ingested. Therefore, we recommend a dosage to be at a minimum of 500 to 5000 milligrams per day. You take it with your food or you supplement it with your food in order to achieve tissue saturation. Research published by the European Respiratory Journal in 2010 found out that ingesting fruits that are high in vitamin C help to reduce asthma symptoms in 8-year-old kids. Research by Akuport and others in 2007 also found evidence to support the role of vitamin C supplementation in adults who suffered from allergic rhinitis. Next up, vitamin D3, 40,000 units plus vitamin K2. Last year, researchers at the Children's National Medical Center found that children who suffered from asthma as well as seasonal allergies were 20 times more likely to be vitamin D deficient than children who didn't suffer. Likewise, recent study results presented by the American Academy of Allergy, Asthma and Immunology demonstrated as well that vitamin D supplementation helps prevent seasonal allergies and also makes symptoms go away more quickly. So those are the natural remedies that we recommend for your allergies. Time for conclusions then. Allergies of all kinds are on the rise and millions of people are affected. They are suffering, they are distressed, they cannot nourish themselves properly, they become sleep deprived, and many times they also are unable to work for certain periods of time. Therefore, it is very, very important that we understand allergies better. And symptoms depend on the substances involved and can affect your respiratory airways, your sinuses, your nasal passages, your skin, your eyes, as well as your digestive system. Allergic reactions can range from very mild to very severe. Some allergies, including food allergies and insect stings, may even trigger a severe reaction known as anaphylaxis, which can be deadly. Many different theories, as we've seen, have been developed over decades, and they all have one thing in common: the fact that during an allergic event, a surplus of histamine is found in the blood. Based on the most recent ongoing research that we had a look at, which has been done at renowned universities, we believe that allergies are probably sophisticated defense mechanisms that have appeared during the evolution of humans on this planet, and it may be therefore very wrong to categorize them as diseases. Allergy testing, as you've seen also, can be performed non-invasively and with very high accuracy using one of the great EAV or EDS devices that you can get exclusively at lyra.com, such as the Homopath, Vistron and the Akuport M2. By the way, again, do not forget, until the 1st of May 2018, you get a great discount on the Vistron. Some antihistaminics acting supplements that we've learned about here is OPC, vitamin C, vitamin D3 together with K2, and they all have a great effect in all allergy therapies. And additionally, we also have a great new DMSO compound called Herbeso Allergy Gone that has a tremendous effect in subsiding allergy symptoms on the short and as well as the long term. And you can find this amazing Herbeso Allergy Gone product exclusively at lyra.me. I'm going to post, of course, as always, all the links in the description box below. And with that being said, I hope that you've enjoyed this information. If you did so, please like, share, comment and subscribe. And until next time, stay healthy.